Jai Om Vishnupad Panaman Suparibrajacacharya Stotra Shri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadip Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Hari. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, Chapter 4, Text 106. Radhikara Bhavamurti Prabhur Antar She Bhave Sukha Dukha Ute Nirantar. Radhikara Bhavamurti Prabhur Antar She Bhave Sukha Dukha Ute Nirantar. Ladies. Radhikara of Srimati Radharani. Bhavamurti, the form of the emotions. Prabhur, of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Antar, the heart. She, that. Bhave, in the condition. Sukha dukkha, happiness and distress. Ute, arise. Nirantar, constantly. The heart of Lord Chaitanya is the image of Sri Radhika's emotions. Thus, feelings of pleasure and pain arise constantly therein. Purport: those under the shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can understand that his mode of worship of the Supreme Lord Krishna in separation is the real worship of the Lord. When the feelings of separation become very intense, one attains the stage of meeting Sri Krishna. So-called devotees like the Sahajiyas cheaply imagine that they are meeting Krishna in Vrindavan. Such thinking may be useful, but actually meeting Krishna is possible through the attitude of separation taught by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurn Miditam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Tadhati Shapadantikam Pandehang Shri Guru Shri Jatapada Kamalang Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Shagrajatam Shahagana Raganatan Vitam Stam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savatutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Shahagana Lolita Sri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kamshana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hori Priye Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindho Pyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So the Kaviraj Goswami is continuing to explain the invocatory verses of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. That Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to externally spread the Sankirtan movement, but internally to taste something, to taste the feelings of Srimati Radharani. Krishna's wondering, what is it about me that is so attractive to her? I can't understand because I'm me. To understand, I would have to take her position. And what is her experience of love for me? That also I can't understand because I'm on the other side. I'm the object of her devotion. So I can't understand what she's feeling. She understands. So in order to experience that, I'll have to take her position. That's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We say, in summary, that he comes in the role of a devotee. So the devotee has two roles. One is to spread Krishna consciousness, and the other is to experience Krishna consciousness. So both things are there. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is spreading the Sankirtan movement very vigorously and also experiencing the mood of the topmost devotee, Srimati Radharani, especially in his later years at Puri, and that's called Antyalila. Earlier he was traveling, preaching, but later, while at Puri, he was experiencing all of these things in the association of Swarup Damodar Ramananda Rai. So, Radhikara Bhav Murti Prabhur Antar. The heart of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the image of the emotions of Srimati Radharani. What is that? Antar Krishna Bahir Gaura. Externally, he's yes. Externally, he's one thing. Internally, another thing. Let me just gather my thought for a second. Bhavamurti, the form of ecstatic emotions. Radhikara Bhavamurti, the form of the ecstatic emotions of Srimati Radharani, is present as the heart of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He doesn't have the heart of Krishna, he has the heart of Srimati Radharani. That heart means feelings. When we say, someone's in my heart, keeping someone in my heart, that means feelings, loving feelings. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's heart is pervaded by the transcendental feelings of Srimati Radharani. He's not in the mood of Krishna. Krishna's mood is to be the supreme enjoyer, to be the supreme, yes, especially the supreme enjoyer. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it doesn't have that feeling. You look very tired today. Yes, are you that tired? A little tired, yeah, me too. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu doesn't have that feeling, let me enjoy. Krishna has that feeling, let me enjoy. When we have that feeling, we're in Maya, but when Krishna has that feeling, he's Krishna. It's his business to be the supreme enjoyer. Yes. But as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, no, that's not his interest. He has no interest in being the enjoyer. His interest is to be the servant of the enjoyer. Completely different mood. Of course, in the material world, even the servant wants to enjoy. Everyone has ulterior motives. So I just want to serve you. It means I just want to, just like politicians, I just want to serve the people of New York. No, of course. I want to get elected and get prestige and money and power and all of that. But I present myself as being very interested in serving. Similarly, even people worship God, but their interest is how to get something for themselves. Kaitava dharma, cheating. But in the pure stage, the devotee has no other interest than to serve Krishna. That's found in perfection in Srimati Radharani. She has no other interest but to serve Krishna, to please Krishna. She doesn't have a separate agenda that I'll also enjoy, just to please Krishna. And in that feeling, bhava, it's not only one feeling, but so many feelings. Some of them contradictory, fighting with one another, those feelings. It's described someplace they were like soldiers trampling the body of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, these ecstatic feelings. How the intensity of that feeling can be seen in the Brahmara Gita, in the chapter where Uddhava visits Vrindavan with a message from Krishna. And he's talking with the gopis about that message. But meanwhile, Srimati Radharani is talking to a bumblebee. I don't want anything to do with you. You're a nonsense rascal. You're coming from Krishna, who's of your nature. The bee sits on one flower, goes to another flower. Your Krishna is just like that. He goes from girlfriend to girlfriend to enjoy, but he's not committed to anyone. Anyway, if he wants me to come to him, no, I'm not going in any way. How could you take me? You're so small. So she's speaking like a crazy woman. Anyone seriously talking to a bumblebee would be judged mad. So this is Divyonmada, transcendental madness. Vyabhachari bhav. Different kinds of bhavas are there. Vyabhachari is one kind. Vyabhachari means some feelings that come for some time and create disturbance also. Crying and being stunned and so on. These are disturbing symptoms. Disturbing symptoms. It's a science in Nectar of Devotion. Different kinds of bhavas. Sthayi bhava, steady relationship. Then vibhava, anubhava, physical symptoms of transformations due to ecstasy, stimulants for ecstatic ecstasy. There are different components. So bhavamurti, all of these are found to the greatest extent in Srimati Radharani. She bhave sukha dukkha ute nirantar. So sometimes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is feeling happiness, and sometimes he's feeling misery. Dukkha means misery. Not only happiness, but misery also. And that misery is especially from separation. Especially when Krishna left Vrindavan. The devotees were crushed. Yugayitam nimeshena. One moment feels like a yuga. Govinda virahename, in the absence of Krishna. How can we maintain our lives in the absence of Krishna? So this separation is painful. Separation is painful. But on the spiritual platform, the most painful feelings are the most relishable also. In the feelings of separation, there's the greatest intimacy with Krishna, more than even being in the presence of Krishna. Therefore, Shukadeva Goswami, at the end of the 10th canto, tells about the feelings of the Dwarka Ranis expressing themselves in different ways, to the waves, to the moon, to the birds. Speaking to the moon, you're getting thinner and thinner. Maybe you're afflicted by some disease. Or is it that you're feeling separation from Krishna, as we're also feeling? The ocean, you're making roaring sounds. Is that because of separation from Krishna? So in different ways, they were thinking that the whole world is feeling separation from Krishna. And the commentators say that while speaking these verses, Krishna, they were speaking these verses, but Krishna was there in Dwarka. And still they were feeling separation from Krishna, even when he was present. Sometimes we feel impending separation. We know this is your last day, and then you're going, and you won't be back for a year. So impending separation is another kind of separation, just as there's anticipation of meeting, which can be even more sweet than meeting, the anticipation. So then there's also the sense of separation, that even though you're here, you'll be leaving. So many emotions were there in the gopis, and especially Srimati Radharani. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was feeling the same emotions. That's described in relation to the Ratha Yatra also. Externally, it was a big festival, everyone's chanting and dancing. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was feeling experiencing these feelings of separation. At Kurukshetra, Srimati Radharani met Krishna, but she felt, no, this is not the same Krishna. What kind of Krishna means in Vrindavan, with the cowherd boys, with Nanda Yashoda, with the cows, with the gopis, playing on his flute, and just like a cowherd boy, garlanded with forest flowers and minerals from Vrindavan, from Govardhan. That Krishna. Here he's all decked out as a king and surrounded by soldiers and chariots and armor and rattling of swords and so on. What happiness can we get in this setting? So we want Krishna to come back to Vrindavan. This meeting is not the same. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was experiencing different emotions. About Prahlad Maharaj, also it's said, when we read the description in the Bhagavatam of Prahlad Maharaj, sometimes he was feeling that Krishna is present, and sometimes he was feeling that Krishna was absent. he was chanting the holy names of the Lord. And it's not that there was only one feeling. Oh, this is better and better, more and more sweet. Sometimes he was feeling hopeless, and he would cry. And sometimes he would feel jubilant. Not like the monists, no feelings at all. Because material feelings involve duality of pleasure and pain. The monists want to be free from all feelings. Nirvana, emerging. But on the platform of eternal individuality, there are transcendental feelings. And in transcendence, the feelings of misery are as good as the feelings of happiness. This topic is discussed by Srila Sanatana Goswami in part 2 of Brihad Bhagavatamrita, toward the end. He says that generally when we think of separation, or when we think of misery as contributing to happiness, we think that it provides the counterpart. You know, in our experience, happiness is the opposite of misery. So if we get some misery, it increases our happiness at the end. When I've been hungry all day and I finally get some food, wow, it's the best food in the world because I was hungry all day. If I hadn't starved all day, that food wouldn't have tasted so good. One time we were in Bihar on Padayatra in the dead middle of the summer season. And it was so hot, and we've been walking for many hours, and the hardest place to walk is in the city, because, okay, in the countryside there's trees, there's shade, there's a breeze, but in the city it's all trucks and cars and buildings, and the trucks themselves are like radiators, you know, they pick up the heat from the sun and they radiate the heat back at you, and they're passing by you slowly, and you know, it's like tapasya, standing under the sun with fires on all sides. So we were entering Bihar in that circumstance. And it was so hot that even the thought of eating anything was out of the question. Yogurt would have been too much, too heavy, because it was so hot. But then just at that place, some hand cart appeared with someone selling lychee fruit. And the quality of lychee fruit is that it's very, very cooling. And lychee fruit is very like drinking the nectar of refrigeration. It's so cooling and tasty. And Bihar is the best place for lychee, and summer is the season. So I've had lychees before and after, but nothing could compare to the lychees in Bihar on Padayatra in the middle of the summer. In, not Bihar, what is that? Pataliputra, Patna. The city. So generally people think that misery contributes to happiness because it gives the counterpart. Even they ask us, how could you understand what happiness is without misery? Or they have some philosophy that misery is good because it contributes, after the misery you feel greater happiness. So in this way they think, and even philosophical people may think that way, that yes, misery contributes to happiness. You'll understand happiness more and appreciate it more because of the misery and the contrast between the two. So Sanatana Goswami says that people may think of, even devotees may think of separation in this way, that separation enhances the happiness of meeting. Without separation, how could we know the happiness, the fullness of the happiness of meeting? And therefore, separation contributes in that way. But Sanatana Goswami says, no, they're not fully understanding. The feelings of separation themselves are more relishable than the feelings of happiness, of meeting. It's more relishable. Who can understand these things? But the Prabhupada gives a sense of it when he says that when the feelings of separation are the most intense, then one gets the experience of meeting with Krishna. Because these things are on the absolute platform. Hey Radhe Brajadevike Chalalite Hey Nandushunakata. In that feeling of separation from Krishna, the Goswamis were most intimately associating with Krishna. The Sahajiyas sometimes present themselves, yes, I'm seeing Krishna, yes, Krishna's just behind that tree there. Take it as a very easy thing that, yes, I'm also associating with Krishna, meeting Krishna. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu doesn't take that course. He's feeling separation from Krishna as the greatest experience of love. Both things, meeting and separation, but the separation is the most intense. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in his pastimes in Puri, relishes these feelings of separation from Krishna. And when they're described later in Chaitanya Charitamrita, they seem so painful. But as Sanatana Goswami says, this is where the greatest experience of pleasure lies. In the material world, there's pleasure, there's pain, they're two different opposites. But in the spiritual world, the so-called pain is the most relishable form of pleasure. So these things were tasted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All right, are there some questions? Yes? I give a microphone.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. My question is, so you mentioned that we can't necessarily understand, like on a material level, where you relish. Like,
let's try it without the microphone, see if it works better.
On a material level, we kind of relish, meeting, and in transcendental
Material
sense,
level, we relish meeting.
Yeah, and in the transcendental sense, we, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
You'll have to speak loud also.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he relishes that pain and the separation. So
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu relishes the feelings of pain and separation.
So how can that translate? Like, how can we understand it in a material sense?
How can we understand it on the material platform? We can't understand it on the material platform. It's not on the material platform. Just the meeting we can't understand also. We think when Krishna is meeting with Radharani, that's something like us meeting our boyfriend or girlfriend. It translates into something like that. But it doesn't. It doesn't. Therefore, it can't be understood by the non-devotees or even by the less advanced devotees. These things are relished by the devotees who are advanced in Krishna consciousness. If we think that we're going to relish these things on the neophyte platform, we're fooling ourselves. We're fooling ourselves. We'll misunderstand. We'll try to, Prabhupada said, as many times as you say, this is not this is not this, still they'll think, yes, this is this. They'll equate their mundane experience with the experience of the spiritual world. They'll think that it's something like that. And therefore they misunderstand. Therefore it's off limits for the neophyte devotees, because they'll misunderstand it. They'll think of Radha and Krishna, they'll think of their own sex life. They'll think that Krishna and the gopis, their business is something like our business in this material world. They'll try to compare the two to understand what Krishna is enjoying, and they'll misunderstand everything, because they're not situated in advanced devotional service, or putting it another way, they're not under the full shelter of the internal energy. They're still taking shelter to some extent of the material energy and trying to understand how these things fit in, how these topics can be something for me to enjoy. So it doesn't translate into something of this mundane world, and therefore it's a problem for the materialists. They'll misunderstand it, they'll take it as something lewd even, because they don't have the framework they don't have the qualification to understand, so they can only misunderstand. First they have to understand what is Krishna, then maybe at some point they can understand what is Radha Krishna, what is Vrindavan. Vishaya Chorya Kabe Shuddha Habiman. The Nartam Dasta. When will my consciousness become purified? When will I give up this mentality of sense gratification? Then my mind will be pure, and then I'll be able to understand Vrindavan. Otherwise not. And that causes so many problems if we presume that we can just jump right in. No. Sevan mukhehi jivan. One has to understand these things. Atas Sri Krishna namadi na bhaved grayam indriya. The name, form, qualities, and pastimes of Krishna are not manifest to the gross senses. Sevan mukhehi jivana. But by chanting Hare Krishna and rendering service to Krishna, one can begin to understand these things. Is that okay?
So I'm understanding it's possible to see we become very, very advanced.
You have loud and clear.
So if I'm understanding correctly, it's possible we have to become very, very advanced to understand.
Yes, it's possible. If one becomes very, very advanced, one can understand all of these things. But that's in the advanced stage. The sadhus make the mistake of trying to grasp these things from the neophyte stage, or less than neophyte stage. Without taking up the process of purification, they want to understand these advanced topics, and so they mix the pure thing that they're trying to relish with the dirt of their material mentality. So they can't get it. They can't get it. And therefore they invent so many things, Gauranga Nagaris, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the supreme enjoyer, and so we should give him enjoyment in a conjugal mood. They make up so many things because they can't understand the actual thing. Or they think that to actually understand Radha Krishna, this is published on the website of one devotee scholar, late devotee scholar. To understand the Radha and Krishna is not possible unless you have a partner of the opposite sex with whom you can, participate in sadhana in erotic sadhana. You can't understand Radha and Krishna except through sex of some, purified or regulated or refined sort. And by ordinary sex you won't understand it, but by this sex, just having sex like cats and dogs, you won't understand it. But by this refined sexual practice, you'll be able to understand something. It is all rubbish. Vishaya Chodiya, one has to give up this mood of sense gratification. Vishaya Chodiya, She Rashi Majaya Mukepalo Hadiyani. Something else?
A comment that generally devotees who are trying to, especially neophyte devotees that are trying to attempt to relish.
Generally, neophyte devotees who are trying to
relish these higher topics. It seems like it's the best thing to try to relish is the service attitude.
Yes, those who are trying to relish higher topics, it seems like the best thing is to relish the service attitude. Yes, I was just thinking about that. From one point of view, we're chanting Hare Krishna, and it can be said that our goal is or should be to ask Krishna for Krishna prema. Nadanam najanam nasundarim. I don't want money. I don't want followers. I don't want a beautiful wife. I just want bhakti. What kind of bhakti? Prema bhakti. And certainly that's legitimate. No quarrel with that. But I was thinking of the same statement in terms of Srila Prabhupada's presentation, that chanting Hare Krishna means, please engage me in your service. And to me, I was thinking that this was a still more profound and at the same time doable, no, I don't like to, a still more profound realization of chanting, and that it was a form that one could do something with. If I'm praying to Krishna for prema bhakti, which is certainly good, but when will that be? And what is that like? I'm praying for prema bhakti. What is prema bhakti? And when will it come? And will it be delivered as a package? One day I'll wake up and I'll have prema bhakti. No one expects that. We understand that we'll progress from stage to stage. All right, that's, again, nothing wrong with that, and it's very good. We do want bhakti, we do want pure bhakti, we do want prema bhakti. and by chanting Hare Krishna to call to Krishna, please give your prema bhakti. Nothing wrong there. But Prabhupada's simple presentation was that chanting Hare Krishna means, please engage me in your service, which at every stage is approachable and fitting. The rank neophyte can pray to Krishna, please engage me in your service. The queens of Dwarka can pray to Krishna, please engage me in your service. The gopis and Srimati Radharani can pray to Krishna, please engage us in your service. Because that's what prema is. It's not just something I want to relish, some feelings, some experience for myself. Finally, its essence is an intense desire to serve. What is prema? It's not just some ecstatic feeling to relish, but ultimately it's absolute dedication to serving Krishna. So Prabhupada presents, please engage me in your service. So it's the same, please give me prema bhakti, but in a form that can very much be appreciated. That the essence of prema bhakti is service, and service one can perform at every stage. Is that okay?
Maharaj,
Yes.
it seems, as a neophyte myself, whenever I read about the separation from the Vrajvasis for Krishna, I can't help but try to equate that to my mundane feelings. So I wanted
Whenever
you
you
to...
read about separation from Krishna, you can't help but what? Equate it with mundane feelings.
So I wanted you to explain more on, is it wrong to try to resonate by like equating it to our past experiences, or?
Is it wrong to mentally try to equate it with our experience? There's some, what's the word? Words have to have some sort of reference in our experience. If you don't have some experience of the thing, then the word is meaningless. There has to be some sort of something, some sort of reference. Chandra Shaka Nyai. Someone says, you see the moon? No, I don't see it. No, see it over there? No, I don't see it. Now just look, it's right above that branch of the tree. Okay, now I can see it. So, because the Chandra, the moon, is very far away, but the Shaka, the branch, is very close by. So by reference to the branch, now I can see the moon. So some comparison is given. Just like it said, Krishna has lotus eyes. So, of course, sometimes we've never even seen a lotus, but if you've seen a lotus, then it's very beautiful, it's fascinating actually how complex the lotus is, how the features that the lotus has. So by comparison to something within our experience, the lotus, we're given some idea of how beautiful Krishna's eyes are. And if someone has no experience of a lotus, then you have to give some other example, because he can't understand when you say lotus, what does it mean? There's an example from translation. In the Bible, there's a passage, though your sins be scarlet, dark red. They shall be made as white as snow, by devotion, by surrender to Jesus. Though your sins be scarlet, they'll be made as white as snow. So there was some translator in Africa, and he had to translate this into the local language. But the problem was that in that country there was no snow. So it didn't mean anything to anyone. But he was very intelligent. He gave the translation, though your sins be scarlet, they'll be made as white as the meat of a coconut. Because that was within people's experience. Or Prabhupada gives the example of hell. There are no newspapers there. Oh, you know that story? About hell? Prabhupada, no newspapers? You know that story? There was some Christian, Prabhupada liked this story, he told it several times. Some Christian preacher, he's preaching to minors that you should that you should surrender to Jesus. So they said, who's Jesus? What's his number? He must be another minor. No, he's the Son of God. And if you don't worship him, you'll go to hell. What's hell? Oh, it's always dark. It's always miserable. It didn't make any impression because they're down in the mines. It's always cold and dark and miserable. So they didn't get it. So finally he said, there are no newspapers there in hell. So then they thought, oh, it's horrible. Anyways, some reference to our experience may be there, but we're warned that this is just some comparison, that don't think it's actually like this. Otherwise you'll misunderstand. Otherwise you'll misunderstand. Some comparisons, it's like it's lotus eyes, because Krishna doesn't actually have lotuses as eyes. If you try to take it literally, you'll get some bizarre picture. But one has to try to get the point that Krishna's eyes are very beautiful, it's like the most beautiful flower. Therefore, one needs the guidance of the bona fide spiritual master. And one has to approach the thing in the right way. So these, especially intimate topics about Krishna and the internal affairs of Vrindavan, require guidance. Otherwise naturally we'll compare it to our business here. And we'll think, yes, same thing is going on there, just transcendental, but the same thing. Therefore, the spiritual master may guide us that, no, it's not that. Or he may guide us, you don't look at these things, because you won't understand them. Don't try to understand these things. Just like the professor may say that you don't try to understand calculus now. Just try to understand basic arithmetic. Because calculus you won't understand. Or what is that? Quantum theory. Quantum theory is too weird. You have to unlearn everything that you learned in physics. It's all contradicted. So first learn basic physics, Newtonian physics. And then in the advanced class, we'll approach quantum physics where everything gets contradictory and weird and strange. But if you don't have the basic Newtonian physics, you won't appreciate you won't be able to understand anything about the quantum physics. Now, we have to take the basic course first, then in the graduate stage, we can understand the advanced courses, the subtleties, the true meaning of things. Otherwise, we won't get it. We won't get it. So one has to be properly guided, and our guides are cautioning us again and again to be very careful about these advanced topics and not try to make that our focus. First understand what is Dhruva Maharaj, what is Prithu Maharaj, and what is this cosmic manifestation, how is the Lord creating everything, what is the constitutional position of the living entity, why is he bewildered by the illusory energy, how can we revive our eternal nature, get free from Maya. These things again and again and again. The other things are there, they may sometimes be mentioned, but if we try to focus on those things in the premature stage, then we'll misunderstand. And then everything will be ruined. Then we won't understand that thing and we'll ruin our progress on the usual path. No, I don't need that. I've given the example in Bombay, there was that building that fell a few years ago, just collapsed. There was some building, a big multi-story building, it just collapsed. So naturally there was an inquiry, why has this building collapsed? And they found that the contractor had cheated on the cement. You know, if you use whatever it is, more of the cheap ingredients, then you can get a better profit, and you can build a building quickly and get a lot of money. And so the builder had done that, contractor had done that, and the result was that later the building just crashed. So that's what will happen in our devotional life if we think that we can skip this, skip that, skip this, skip that, and go right for the essence, then we won't get the essence, and everything will crash also. And we've seen examples. One day, you know, someone's relishing and relishing and relishing and relishing, and then he gets implicated with some woman. Now these things are there. Even we know of one person, a Westerner, went to live at Radhakund and was associating with the sadhus there and became quite a devoted follower of one of the sadhus and was doing sincere work to try to present the understandings that he was getting from the sadhus to a broader audience so that they could appreciate the deeper aspects of Gaudiya Vaishnava teachings. But over some time he found out what the sadhus were doing. How they were, maybe not everyone, but how so many of them were not following even the basic regulative principles followed by every neophyte ISKCON temple resident. That much they couldn't do. But they're, relishing all of these advanced things. He became disillusioned and left. So, Prabhupada said, like medicine, you have to take the medicine prescribed by the qualified physician and in the manner prescribed by the qualified physician. It's not that we go into the pharmacy and say, what's the strongest thing you've got? No. You go with your prescription, And the pharmacist sees what does the doctor prescribe for him, what is the dosage, what is the strength. Because the same medicine that may be good for one person will be terrible for the next person. Not just take the strongest thing and that'll be the best. We have to take the medicine under proper guidance. Ordinary medicine, you don't need much guidance. What do they call it? Over the counter. Aspirin. Anyone can take it. Vitamin C, there's no problem. You overdose, it's not going to be a big issue. Take it 4 times a day, 8 times a day, whatever. But these more powerful medicines, for that you need a prescription. Because if you take it without proper guidance, you could harm yourself severely. So therefore, even the medicine, you can't just pick it up off the shelf. You have to go to the pharmacist, present your script, your prescription, and then he gives you, and careful directions are there. Do it this, make sure you don't do that. Don't take it along with this. If we think, no, what do they know? Then trouble. So these topics, we get the sense of it by hearing Srila Prabhupada's classes. When you hear so many, fortunately, those classes are recorded. Prabhupada's lectures on Nectar of Devotion, Prabhupada's lectures on Bhagavatam, Prabhupada's lectures on so many things. And listen and listen. How much is there? Gopi, 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 gopi. Very carefully, Prabhupada sometimes mentions some topics about these things, but not that this is our bread and butter, this is what we all need to cram, this is what we all need to just drink in. And these other topics about Rishabdev and Tapasya and Prahlad and Griyamandakupam, these things we don't need to hear about. We need to focus on the real essence of the Bhagavad. No. You hear his classes, what he's giving. And then you also can give very nice classes by picking up the same idea. Otherwise, if we think that, no, let me give something more, do we understand what that more is? And will the audience understand what that more is? So some resemblance is there, but we have to understand how far away that thing is. Okay, should we stop here? Yes? Okay, thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.